Hold on a second. Wait, hold on.
Let's roll because we got a lot to cover.
Oh, I like your scarf.
Trying to be
Look at
Christmassy
you.
today.
Okay.
I have
gotta
to
get
say,
my Christmas tree.
yeah, you should do that. I was saying to my friends this morning, the dog walkers and stuff, that finally this morning I feel Christmassy for the first time. Is
Oh,
like,
you do.
where is that
I
feeling?
love that.
And
I love that.
yeah, for
What,
sure.
okay, what is it that made you feel Christmassy for just, this morning?
I'm not totally sure, but sharing a couple pictures of our doggy friends this morning. So this is Charlie on the far left. His bestie is Ula, the white dog down here. They play
Oh.
really hard all the time. This is Archie, and this beautiful, beautiful beagle is Arthur. And Arthur likes to get in on Ula and Charlie's very hard play quite often. And the other dogs, my dogs don't know what to do with him too much. But boy, he's fearless. He just goes in there and tries to mess it up with them all the time.
Oh, no, where is this?
This is our park right across the street. I always show you pictures.
It's very nice looking, yeah.
Oh, it's a gorgeous park. And so it's a lot of fun. So why do I feel like that all of a sudden? Not totally sure. I woke up this morning and had my coffee. And as I sometimes do on Fridays, I didn't feel like going out to the gym. I went to the gym every day this week in spite of getting over a cold. So I did the HIIT workout in the basement, which is very, very exhilarating. That's the hard cardio, all in 25 minutes. And so I got caffeine and cardio pumping through my system. And then I go out and see all the doggies, gentle snow falling, nice and still.
Those pictures from today?
Yeah, just 45 minutes
so
ago.
light dusting of snow
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
ground
yeah.
there. That's
So there
kinda
was
nice.
like everything. It was just in the air, and I love it. It's Friday, and I don't know. I feel like going out and doing like a good happy hour, early dinner kind of thing. Something good though, something really good.
Well, that's pretty cool. I love that you're in the Christmas spirit. And you know what? It just doesn't happen automatically. Sometimes you gotta
I was
put
wondering
yourself
where it
in that
was.
spirit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, I've got some Christmas trivia queued up right here.
Well, cool. I got some good
things.
Christmas stuff too. But I wanted to ask you first. Let's try to keep it brief because I have not talked to you in a while. How did things go with your kids last weekend? They had to be great.
Fantastic. We had such a great time. My mom is in town with my stepfather, and so we had a really great family time. And it went by way too quickly, of course. And
was there a highlight?
I think the highlight was just being able to be together at the house. Okay, yes, there was a highlight.
Yeah,
now that you're talking about it, I discovered that I like to play cornhole.
Oh, sure, it's addicting.
I'd never played it before.
Oh,
and so we got a cornhole set for the backyard, and here in Phoenix, it's the perfect time of year. It's like 75 degrees outside every day. And so we played out there with, let's see, we had Hallie was on Larry's team and Brandon was on my team. So we won the championship, but it was a pretty good battle. I was surprised at how good my kids were at that game.
Well, are they
really good at that?
Well versed with it?
No, none of us had played.
So I'm going to say for sure, the thing about cornhole is there's beginner's luck, then there's streaks. And so if you think somebody's great at, sometimes you do get somebody that plays a lot and is really good. They got their method down, all that. Scott, your brother, would be that one.
Oh, yeah. I could see tearing up my cornhole game playing Scott because I'm so mad.
Yeah. But other than that, put that aside. Cornhole is about streaks, and some person will be hot for a while, like for a year. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it goes away,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, I was impressed by their hand-eye coordination. I really was like, wow, they're pretty good.
Well, all boards are different too. Like how are your boards? Some are more slippery than others. And if you got a super slippery board, it's really hard to sink a shot. You got to do a lot of arc.
Yeah.
and all of
Mine,
that.
I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to, but
Mm.
gosh, that board is slippery. I mean, it was like
Okay.
a carnival game right there. It's like, what?
Uh-huh.
Somebody greased these boards.
Yeah.
That's what I would
And
hear all the time.
conversely, if they're not slippery enough, it's almost not fair. It's almost not fun. I mean,
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
that as part of the strategy.
Oh,
You want to
yeah.
be able to knock someone else's bag off when you have to, and all of
See,
that.
that was the thing. As soon as that bag hit the board, it'd be whoop, gone.
Yeah.
Wow, they were really
All
super
right,
fast. It was
Merle,
really fun.
because we are tight on time and we have a lot to cover. I know you got some Christmas trivia, and then I got some Christmas stuff too. And
Oh,
then
good.
we got a lot of current events to go over, and they're really fun. So we're going to have to go quick. So why don't you lead the way right here?
Well, okay, I got 10 holiday fun facts to bring your
Nice.
holidays more joy. And joy is the name of it. Okay, the first one, Jingle
Joy.
Bells, Jingle Bells. Favorite Christmas song. However, the song Jingle Bells was originally written for Thanksgiving, not Christmas.
How
James
on earth?
Lord Pierpont composed it in 1857 for a Thanksgiving performance at his church. It's a Thanksgiving song.
Wow. I
Okay, think about it. Everybody had, horses back then and everything, and
sure.
horses in the snow. I guess you had those bells for people to hear you coming. I don't know. I have no idea why the bells rang. Didn't give me more information on this, but what a mind blow
Yeah.
that
Such a
is.
classic
I'm blown
Christmas.
on that. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Okay, Christmas trees. The tradition of the Christmas tree originated in Germany in the 16th century. Devout Christians brought decorated trees into their homes, and it is said that Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer, was the first to add lighted candles to a tree.
Huh.
Didn't know that.
Well, that's a fire hazard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, think about it. All those years they'd put candles in trees. I mean,
Crazy,
you
man.
would think that's
Yeah.
probably what started the Chicago fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, Santa Claus. The modern image of Santa Claus as a jolly man in red was popularized by Coca-Cola's advertising in the 1930s. However, the character is based on Saint Nicholas, a 4th century Greek bishop known for his generosity.
Greek, I thought that started in Britain.
Yeah, that's well, according to this trivia sheet, you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I want to see the Snopes fact check on that,
Yeah,
and then I want to
right.
fact check that.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is misinformation.
Right.
This could be
Right.
malinformation
There you
right here.
go.
All right, candy canes. The candy cane was invented in Germany, and the original design was straight and all white. It was later given a crook shape and red stripes to resemble a shepherd's staff.
Okay. I totally
So,
buy that.
yeah, and think about it. I mean, you've got the shepherds at the Christmas time thing, and
And then you hang them on a tree that way too.
there you go. So
Yeah.
cool. Do
Yeah.
you like candy
No,
canes?
God, no.
I hate those things. All right, here's one. Rudolph. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was created by a copywriter named Robert L. May for a Montgomery Ward department store marketing campaign in 1939. The story of the outcast reindeer quickly became a Christmas classic. So it started at Montgomery Ward.
Not a toy.
Oh boy. All right, I'm going to move on. But what happened back there? I wasn't looking. What happened?
Charlie stole my socks. He does that to get my attention and chews them up, And
Don't you
he
hate
doesn't
that?
look, poor guy. He's got nothing now.
He's
I'm sorry.
bummed out back there. So that was a very non-Christmas face he
Lisa's
had
not
on
home
right
either,
there.
so he's like, "What do I do? What do I do?"
Look at him back
Yeah.
there. That's hilarious.
All right, let's
All right.
motor.
We're back to Christmas cards. The first Christmas card was created in 1843 by Sir Henry Cole, a British
Man,
civil servant. Yes.
everything happened in the mid 1800s.
I know,
Everything.
right? It's like this Christmas thing
Discovery of
really took off.
anesthetics and I
Right.
should say
Yeah.
anesthesia. and
Well,
aesthetics. Yeah,
you
anesthesia.
had the Lister, Joseph Lister, that came up with. He was the big germ guy back then, and came up with Listerine, of
Well,
course. But
and Civil War, for God's sakes. I
ah,
mean, it
man,
defined our country for a large part,
it
you
really
know?
did. And yeah, trench warfare came out of the Civil War, and all kinds of.
You know, really, as we talk about, and it's true, today's modern age, man, I mean, I think humanity's transforming right now in front of our eyes. But really, the mid 1800s is like really
What a
understated as far as the transformation of humanity went, our country anyway,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you're right about that. So many things were going on at that time. We really,
At
I
exactly
think
that time.
they did us a disservice in history class by not
Uh-huh.
teaching us more about this stuff. Like we
Uh-huh.
really know nothing about that period. When you're right, when the more we look at it, the more it's like, are you kidding me? That happened back then?
Everything happened then.
I got a couple more here. One is Hanukkah. The Jewish festival of lights is celebrated for 8 days and nights. The holiday commemorates the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem and the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days.
Hmm.
So that's what Hanukkah is about. But Kwanzaa, a celebration of African American culture and heritage, was created by Dr. Mulana Karenga in 1966, and the holidays observed from December 26th to January 1st and includes activities such as lighting the Kinara, which is a candle holder, and exchanging gifts.
Hmm.
I went to a Kwanzaa celebration one time when I was living in Cleveland. I was a little bit confused, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure what that was
I
all
think they're
about.
probably still figuring it out.
I
You
think
know,
you're
everyone's
right
doing it
about that.
differently. It means different things for different people. They're probably figuring it out. And
Yeah,
Black
but
Lives Matter comes around and probably screwed it all up, you know?
who knows? But I mean, it is interesting because people that celebrate Kwanzaa, you'd think Kwanzaa was like this, thing rooted in ancient history, but it only was created in
19, our
1966.
birthdays. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Yule log. I got two more. Yule log. A large log burned in the hearth as part of a traditional Yule celebrations has
Never heard
its
of it.
root. You never heard of that? It's
Yeah.
okay. It's a Celtic solstice celebration. They put this big log in there, and today the term also refers to a popular chocolate cake made to resemble a log. All right, but speaking of
Never heard of that.
solstice, today is the summer or the winter solstice. It's
No way.
between
That's like
today and
December.
tomorrow.
Oh, wait,
Oh.
you're right.
Yeah, it's like December 21st or 20. It's like between the 20th and the
Yeah.
21st.
Yeah.
And today's the
Yeah.
20th. It's
Oh
actually
my God.
my dad's birthday today too.
I
Um, he
didn't
would
put
have
that all
been
together.
88 today, which
Oh,
is
wow.
crazy to think about my dad
Yeah.
being 88. But anyhow, it is the shortest day of the year today,
Which
and
means it gets slowly
it's
gets
gonna
brighter
get
from here.
brighter from here. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
pitch black outside right now. I mean,
Wow.
here the sun is just coming up, and it's 46 degrees out there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, in the morning it is freezing here, and also as soon as the sun goes down, that desert cold kicks in immediately. It's like,
It's big.
whoa,
A large part of that is the fact that you usually don't have any cloud cover to keep the heat in. And
that's
so it
true.
dissipates immediately.
That is absolutely true. But I mean, we are, as a result, though, we do have these night skies are beautiful. We see a lot of stars out here because I'm in the country.
You don't have the
And
lights
I
refracting.
know. And I saw the greatest shooting star the other night. It was one of
Nice.
those that lasted for like 3 seconds. Like, oh my God.
No
It was
drones?
so cool.
Don't think it
But
was a drone?
it could have been a drone. It could have been a drone crashing.
We'll talk about that,
Yeah,
hopefully
for
briefly.
sure, for sure. The last one is the New Year's resolutions. The tradition of making New Year's resolutions dates back to ancient Babylon, where people made promises to their gods at the start of each year to pay their debts and return borrowed objects.
Return borrowed
That's
objects.
funny. That was
It
the
is.
resolution. I promise to return this, Barry.
Yeah, I'll not steal anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
My
But
thieving days are over.
I've never been a big New Year's resolution guy. Are you big on that?
You know what? I think that we'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit more in a week or two when that comes about. We tend to a bit, and I'm not a big resolution. I haven't given it a single thought yet this year. But, yeah, give me a little while to think about it, maybe do a little research. We'll give that some more thought.
I know you got some Christmas stuff.
Oh yeah,
so
good stuff.
But after that, I told you last time we would talk about your morning coffee. I got some information on that too that I want to share. Which
You might want to hang on to that for a week because we got so much.
Oh, okay. All
Think
right,
about it.
Go for your
Let's
thing.
run through this, interrupt where you want, but I'll try to do it quick. Here are the 5 most positive things that people over 50 love about Christmas. 1, spending time with more family and friends, spending more time with family and friends. And so you got children, grandchildren, lifelong friends. Usually people we haven't seen for a very long time. I know I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. And number 2, nostalgia and fond memories. Christmas evokes warm memories of childhood, simpler times, true, or loved ones who are no longer around. Decorating the tree, hearing classic holiday songs, watching favorite movies. And It's a Wonderful Life brings back treasure.
These are great. I mean, each one of these things has given me that Christmas feeling.
Did you do any good TV watching, holiday show watching with your kids?
No, we didn't do, and that's usually a thing that we do.
Yeah.
And we just didn't. It was like we didn't have.
Too bad. Didn't have time.
Just flew by. Yeah, and we
you had better things
doing
to do.
stuff.
Yeah,
but I like doing that a lot, I like the family, the spending the time, and the just all those nostalgic memories. I do think about those childhood. I had a great childhood, and Christmas was a great part of it.
My mom really always tried to make that special, traditional, and memories, and she did a really good job of that because I think about all that too.
And my dad loved Christmas time, and he would turn into Santa Claus every Christmas. I mean, he just was so generous, and it just he seemed so happy, and it made the whole house seem happy. He loved awesome. Christmas.
That's great,
Christmas,
man.
It was a great time. Yeah, it is a warm time.
I'm glad we're having this discussion.
Yeah, me too.
It's waking it up in us,
Yeah, I'm feeling it, man.
That's good. Well, this'll help you out there too. 3, giving and gratitude. The joy of giving, whether through thoughtful gifts, acts of kindness, volunteering, it resonates deeply. At this stage of life, there's often a heightened sense of appreciation for intangible gifts of health, relationships, and the ability to give back.
I was
important things in life.
Yeah. Okay. A favorite childhood toy that you got? Can you remember anything that stuck out?
When you were we were just a second ago talking about these things, my mom created a memory. I don't know why. My mind went to having the new Evel Knievel wind-up thing in my grandparents' house, playing without like half the day. On his motorcycle, you wind it up and then it goes.
Remember. Oh, that thing was really, really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I wanted Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh, I had that
badly, and I remember
really young.
I remember a Christmas that I was really thinking I was going to get that, and I did not get it, and I was bummed out. But I got it the next year, and it was a whole lot of fun. Yeah,
Rock'em Sock'em Robots. How about that? Okay, number 4, traditions and rituals. Long-standing traditions such as baking cookies, attending holiday services, decorating the house, send out Christmas cards. All has a special meaning and gives us comfort and a sense of continuity throughout the years.
The Christmas dinner. I mean, for me, we always had almost the same dinner we had at Thanksgiving.
Sounds magical to me.
I loved that.
Ours varies a little bit. I would rather have had the Thanksgiving dinner again.
I love turkey, like that whole turkey thing.
Me too.
It's like if you don't have that, it's almost like is it Christmas? So I kind of have to have that.
Okay, let's finish this up. 5, slower pace and reflection. Many of us over 50 learn to focus on meaningful things around Christmas instead of the commercial rush. It's a time for reflection, spiritual renewal, and the beauty of the season, like quiet moments by the fire, a snowy landscape, or the glow of Christmas lights. And a bonus. the magic of sharing the season with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Mm-hmm.
now, because I just want to keep moving along, we got a lot more to go. On the other side, here are the 5 most challenging aspects of Christmas. I didn't want to say negative, but the most challenging aspects of Christmas for people over 50 that we may dread.
There are challenges. I can
There
think
are.
of a
Number
couple right
one,
now.
you could think of this one. Number 1, loneliness or loss. And we've been facing a lot of that, Lisa and I, this year. We've talked to a lot about that on this podcast in 2024.
Right.
Absence of loved ones due to passing, distance, or strange. Thank God for Zoom. And I hope that more people have gotten adept at this, because that is one positive, is that the distance between our families,
Well, that's the truth,
can be shortened.
Yes.
This Christmas with
very
Zoom.
Positive aspect of
Facebook,
technology is that we
Facebook,
have that
whatever.
ability to stay close now. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
So
cool.
there are heightened feelings of isolation sometimes for some of us. There is number 2, financial stress. The pressure to buy gifts, host gatherings, and travel can be overwhelming for those of us on fixed income. I think that is the reason I wanted to share these is not to bring us down, but to have empathy for those of us that all of us are sensing a little bit of this, you know. Number 3, physical and emotional exhaustion. The demands of decorating, shopping, cooking, hosting, and attending other events
can be so exhausting.
Physically and emotionally draining.
Another party. Oh.
Yeah. Family tensions, number 4.
Oh, boy.
Now, we don't have that in my family.
That's good.
I don't think you do either.
No.
But a lot of us do. I know of some. And reunions with family, dude, some people, it can be very stressful to get together and have to sit in a room with some people you really just have friction with.
It's such a shame when you hear about this too, because
it is.
Families can be so self-destructive. And
yes, because you know how to press each other's buttons,
right,
if that's your thing. Yeah, I remember one time that I shared a Wayne Dyer thing about somebody called in to him and said about, my mother knows how to press my buttons. And he said, if somebody's squeezing a turnip or an orange and something other than orange juice comes out, there's something wrong there. So if she's squeezing you and something other than love is coming out, and you need to fix that. Instead of blaming your mother, you need to fix what's inside of you.
Yeah. I like that, because you're looking at you first and taking responsibility for the relationships rather than just being a victim.
You know,
and I'm just go ahead.
I just, because this goes right to it. When I began college and I first met you, coming from my, I feel, rather dysfunctional blue-collar family, we used to like to press each other's buttons and all that and pretend that that was tough or cool. I used to try to do that to you, expecting friction and everything else to come out, and all that came out was love and kindness and laughs
and humor. Yes.
Yeah. I learned a lot from that. That's the moral. It changed my life. With that, number
fun,
5,
man. That was a huge compliment. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Number 5, nostalgia and unmet expectations. Let me explain this. Christmas can evoke, Christmas can evoke bittersweet feelings about, in quotes, the way things used to be. Comparing the current season to the idealized past, I have that in my mind, the idealized past, may lead to disappointment if traditions have changed, loved ones are absent, or things feel less magical. I understand that. We don't need to belabor that. And just end this with our bonus. Seasonal affective disorder. Sad. And dude, anybody that knows me knows I struggle with this. So that is the shorter days. The moment we do the time change here, which I hate, that day, I dread it,
I
because
used to hate that too.
it's
It's
awful.
depressing.
The only
It is
positive I could
depressing.
say is that we shortened it a great deal,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden it's like way darker, way earlier, and it feels like way more than an hour, and it feels like it gets way darker.
I tell you, there is an adjustment that I go through as well when
Yeah,
the days start getting shorter and shorter. I mean, my goodness, you have to really do stuff to keep
you're
your
right.
positive mojo going.
You're absolutely right. Feelings of depression and melancholy can make it
Mhm.
feel harder during the holiday season. There may be some excessive drinking, which is a
Yeah,
depressant.
yeah,
I would be very cognizant of that.
yeah.
If
Can you
this is
imagine
something.
living in like Alaska where like for like a month or so it's just dark?
Oh God,
I don't
yeah.
think I could. That would affect me.
Oh
That would
God, it's
seriously
got.
affect
I
me.
think it's got the highest level of suicide rates, especially
Yeah,
during
I
that
think
time.
you're
Of
right
course, it
about that.
does.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I love about living down here because it's so sunny all the time. I love being able to experience that. That
That's
makes such a big
totally get it.
difference. Yeah.
Totally get it. I know just moving, my cousin moved to Columbus because
It,
way more sun,
you,
way
and
more
you
sun.
don't have all that lake effect down there.
Uh-huh.
That's really
Right.
what it is. I
Right.
remember being jealous of people in Columbus when I lived in Cleveland. They had such a mild winter compared to what we were having up there.
Right. Yeah. 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 For
You
sure.
live in the snow belt. The
Hmm.
snow belt. I don't miss being in the snow belt. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
know we don't get that much snow at least
No.
now. I
That's what I
expect it's
hear.
going to change back,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
everybody around here is bought into my little liberal utopian oasis here. Everyone's bought into the climate change. That this is
Oh,
it forever
right.
and ever. This is it. I think it's just my whole life we've gone through phases. We'll have a 3-year phase, then a 4-year phase, another three. It changes. So I expect we're going to have an ice age like starting next season.
I
I
mean,
guess.
that is exactly how it goes, you know. Remember how we used
Right.
to look at they told us you could tell how old a tree is by
Uh-huh.
counting the
Rings.
rings. And then the rings, they told us that the thicker ones meant that it was a mild winter or
I
vice
didn't know
versa.
that. Oh,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so you could actually look at these and tell by the rings the changing of the seasons. A lot of these older trees that are hundreds of years old, you could see that whole thing. So this has been going on for some
oh,
time. It's a
okay.
big scam here. They're trying to get into our wallets.
Merle, I want to leave this to you so that you had the coffee thing. And if so, I rushed through that. We got through it really quick. Thank God. But I got a lot of current events. I
Let's do the
imagine.
current events.
Okay.
Because I
Sit on that
had
one for a
so
week.
much family and everything like that. I haven't some of these current events that are happening so quickly. I've had a very hard time keeping up with. So
Okay. I was going to
I'm going
say
to let
if
you
you
lead on
wanted
the
to do
current
your coffee
events.
thing, or we want to save the coffee thing. That's up to you.
Let's go into the current events.
Okay, okay. I'm going to run down what I have and then we'll back up because we probably won't get to all of them.
All
So
right.
let's just say what we got. And I got just in, the White House functioned with a diminished Biden in charge, says the Wall Street Journal. It finally occurred to them that from day one of Biden's inauguration, he wasn't with it. Hey, the feds. This one gets me, dude. The feds blew through $250 billion censoring us. They called it, of course, the Department of Misinformation under Biden. And so this is what I hate. There's so many ways they weaponized our tax dollars, used our tax dollars to weaponize our government against us. ABC and Stephanopoulos to pay Trump $15 million and apologize in a defamation lawsuit. That one's fun. Hey, January 6th, insurrection. Found out. I wish I had some music to go with that.
I like how you said that.
Found out 28 FBI informants were involved in that. And now you know, of course, the mainstream media is talking about how it's misrepresented. It wasn't FBI wasn't behind it. They weren't FBI operatives. I'll explain that one very thoroughly when we get to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, this one's awesome. It is said Trudeau is called to resign in
Mm,
Canada.
mm.
This morning, I started listening to a new Jordan Peterson episode. He's got some expert on in this. Peterson hates Trudeau, has
I
hated him
mean,
the entire time. And
he's terrible. He's terrible for the whole
10 years
world.
of a death spiral in Canada. And as this guy started explaining on, and I barely got into the episode. So, but he started explaining, he goes, everybody in America all has this same rosy idea of what Canada is. And he goes, in the last 10 years, it's been just going straight down the tubes. The cost of living is everyone's moving out. It's a mass exodus
Huh.
because
Huh.
it's always like California, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, Trudeau and Newsom are two peas in a pod.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's
They're
very, very
very,
accurate.
very similar personalities, actually.
Yeah. So, all you people who want to move to Canada, I have said this. I think that I think this would be a great use of taxpayer money. We should gift them $30,000 in moving expenses. One caveat is that they have to sign a contract that they can never move back. I
That's an
think we
interesting idea.
And we put cameras on all these celebs that just, a camera op. All right. And I get a check for $30,000. I'm moving to Canada. And then here, pull out the contract right in front of the camera. Okay, sign. Got to
I
sign.
would like to add to that contract, which is that now you have to be in a reality TV show so that we can see how you're doing in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's genius. We should revisit that idea.
Yeah, yeah, because that would be a great show. I would watch
Okay.
that show.
And finally, we have to also talk about the drone stuff going on. I think I could sum that up rather quickly. We have
Why don't
some
we
really.
start with that one?
You
Because
want
that
to?
is, yeah,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
go to that because that is so fascinating to me. That what
Uh-huh.
in the world? I got to be honest. I am not on top of this. I've read different things. I've heard from a couple of sources what they say it is, but what in the world is going on? We're drone crazy now. I
Uh-huh.
thought I
Uh-huh.
saw, like you said about the shooting star. I'm like, now I got a question. Am I seeing drones?
Uh-huh.
I'm seeing, I don't know if I'm seeing them or not. I see strange things in the sky too, but what is going on here, Barry?
Well, those are all great questions because everyone is covering it and everyone is covering it very differently. For instance, just this morning, I was listening as fast forwarding through Crystal and Sagar breaking points, and they were talking about Charlemagne the God. I have a hard time even saying that.
I
Uh,
know. It's like, who comes up with a name like that? Come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. And people listen to him.
Right.
But he had someone on. They were talking about, geez, what is the point of this? Oh, that's right. They went right into alien BS, which is the only place I've heard about this. Because look, all right, I'm kind of jumping right to the nuts and bolts of everything for me. If this kind of stuff, if you they're unidentified flying objects, you could
Oh,
say
I'll give you
that.
that. I'll give
Yeah,
you
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're not defying physics as we know it, they're
It's
terrestrial. They're
right.
throw the alien thing right out the door and go to Charlemagne's show. Okay, his listeners or whatever. That's for them. Okay, that's the only place I've heard that nonsense. Oh,
So
you know who was on there,
they're
dude?
actually talking about that on they believe that's what they're
Whoa,
saying
wait
on
a minute.
Charlemagne.
You know who was on there? It
Who?
was Pete Buttigieg.
Oh my God, no. He's doing his job as the transportation secretary.
Exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
so the
finally
biggest
the guy
joke.
wakes up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're talking about the possibility of aliens and blah, blah, blah. All right, that's
Are
nonsense.
these
And
bigoted aliens? Are they?
they're probably, I bet they're homophobes.
I
But
bet
he
they are
wouldn't
too.
know because he's been on maternity leave for the past 4 years.
Right, right. He just
Um,
came back.
right, right. So, okay, so let's dispense with that. Okay, so I'm hearing about they're the size of cars. Now they're the size of SUVs. Um,
Right.
I'm going to cut to the bottom line of what I think it is. Then I'll back up
Okay.
because from day one, I thought this, and I still think this. Something to do with the DOJ. It's from the DOJ. It's by the DOJ. Look, 1 month from now, what happens? 1 month from today, what happens?
From today is the inauguration.
There you go. 4 weeks.
Yes.
Look, this government has been panicked and is scrambling. This isn't the last weird thing we're going to see from them. And
No.
I don't know what phase this little drone thing is. I don't know if it's phase 1 or phase 4. But it's part of whatever distraction or whatever they're trying to do. They're up to something. But maybe it's to cause panic. And because we're going to get our budget cut like dramatically, we're going to get our jobs cut. No, you need us. There's mysteries going on out there that only we can handle.
That is a very, very good point, because we know throughout history they've done that. That's been their play, is they got to make themselves legitimate.
And it's not like they've ever been honest with us.
Yeah,
ever.
Right, exactly.
And where are the interceptors?
Right.
They're not out there trying to do anything about it.
Well, here's something interesting that just came in today. The Federal Aviation Administration today added more temporary bans on drone flights over 30 areas across New York. And let's see. So the TFR, that's a flight restriction. I can't remember what the T stands for, but it will last until January 19th and cover large parts of southern New York and Long Island, including all 5 boroughs of New York City, and residents in New Jersey, which also has drone bans for the next month, have reported seeing unexplained flying drones through the skies for weeks, which prompted criticism from local officials and law enforcement. So here's something else, Barry, is that the FBI and DHS, Department of Homeland Security, said last week that they had seen no evidence that the drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat. And they added that they have no evidence of a, quote, foreign nexus, unquote, to the drones. On Saturday, the agency said they found many of the reported drone sightings are, in fact, manned aircraft being misidentified as drones. That sounds like gaslighting.
Well, wait a minute. Many of them may be, and I think maybe many of them are. Yeah, but there are others.
But the other ones are.
Yeah. No, I follow that.
At this point, we have not identified any basis for believing that there are any criminal activities involved, and that there's any national security threat, that there's any particular public safety threat, or that there's a malicious foreign actor involved in these drones, a DHS official said over the weekend.
DHS, Mayorkas. Oh,
this sounds, Mayorkas, okay.
That guy should be in prison.
Yeah.
That guy's never spoken truth in his life. He doesn't even look like, when you see a picture of him, he doesn't look like he's capable of saying the truth.
No, he does not.
I'm sorry.
He's a scoundrel. That's really what he is. He's like, if you look up,
he was hired to be a scoundrel. Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that. So this smells like the same old cooking, right? This is the same kind of rhetoric we heard around the China balloon, right?
Right.
It's nothing, no cause for harm. Now we know that they were siphoning all kinds of data from our classified sites and our military sites, but this is going to be no problem. I mean, it's like you said, they've lied to us so much that if they ever do tell us the truth, which I doubt they will, how are we ever going to believe them?
We would never believe them. No. So that's my thought. Just to throw a little bit of monkey wrench into this, Rogan had U.S. Navy Commander David Fravor on a few days ago, and he was involved, or was he the commander that did that was involved with the Tic Tac videos? I think, as I recall, now that I think about it, he was actually a guy that was put. He never believed in UFOs or anything like that, but he rose into a trusted place in the military. Then was all of a sudden put in charge of part of the UFO disclosure thing. This is back, the Tic Tac things happened in 2004.
Right.
And that was a big thing because it's been verified via several different kinds of radar visually and tons of people and things like that.
And it was the new rate. It was when the new radar came out that they started seeing these things. Right?
Yeah. So he talked to him about this stuff. It's a very trusted source. And he threw a monkey wrench in my theory, even though I still stand by it, about the DOJ being behind this in some way or another, our military. Because he said this is actually third year in a row of this happening. It's of these, at this time of year, these drones doing this, all these reports. He says it's just much more this year. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
And he also says this spans 4 or 5 different states all the way to Ohio, which is quite a ways from the ocean, where they're supposedly based somehow or another. So there's that. Let's see. It seemed like and Rogan had one other theory that I thought was good, worth mentioning. He said it kind of in passing. He goes, well, with all the disclosure hearings that are happening in Congress and the progress that is being made there, he goes, and they supposedly are worried about panic if some amount of disclosure were to happen. He goes, well, if I were to know that I was going to disclose some major crap as far as alien technology goes and all of this kind of thing, he goes, what would I do? I would fill the skies with UFOs and get people used to it and talking about until you then take the next step of, oh, by the way, we have alien craft.
Right. I mean,
there's some that can hold some water. That theory can hold some water.
Of course. And it seems like they've been building up to that story for a long time. Like they're just waiting to, it seems like they're just waiting to release that. It is this,
I think it's by force. I think, again, when they see the new regime coming in, the inauguration happened, and dude, there's mass panic in the deep state. I remember this when Fravor was on before, and they were talking about when it looked like disclosure was imminent, and Rogan was like, well, what's the biggest problem with that? Fravor goes, a lot of people are going to be on trial for murder and treason, unconstitutional acts, all of this cover-up that has been going on for all this time. They've been doing all kinds of unconstitutional things as a result of this. They have felt all this time they've had the right to cover all this up and do all these things. They do not. There's people murdered over this for sure by our government.
Absolutely. And you're seeing already this exodus of people leaving. I mean, gosh, just this last week, I heard that LeBron James is stepping down at the Los Angeles Lakers. He's got his son on the team right now. They always wanted to be able to play together. And he's mysteriously stepping down.
Why? What?
Well, remember, ain't no party like a Diddy party. These kinds of things of what these people have been doing over the years, they're now starting to become exposed, and people are leaving. Some people are leaving the country, like we talked about earlier, and it's because of all this exposure that's happening. In the news just this week, we found out that Fani Willis he got exposed with that whole thing with Mr. Wade and these improprieties. And so it's all these people that were on the attack are now looking at the consequences of their dastardly deeds. And now we've got drones flying all over the place. And I've got another perspective on this because, again, Can I
hold you on that for 1 minute?
Yes.
Because you just blew past the Fani Willis thing, which I think is very important. And don't forget where you were. Because I'm interested in hearing about your theory about this drone thing.
It's not my theory. It's another perspective.
Okay, don't forget. But briefly, because yesterday I heard on the PBD podcast, the one dude on there explained how this whole Fani Willis thing, what they did and how it got exposed. And it's the same is his name Alvin Bragg?
Yes.
Yes. Same thing right there, too. also getting exposed. So what they did with these stupid charges that were lodged against Trump to make, they purposely tried to make it sound, 98 charges of, was it the real estate BS of
Oh yeah,
inflated
yeah,
prices?
exactly. It's one charge, but they charge them, 40 times for the same
Yes.
crime.
He
Right.
explained it like, okay, so if somebody broke into your apartment
Hmm.
and you're a prosecutor and you wanted to make that seem like just the worst crime in history, you would charge them first with breaking and entering in your city. First your apartment, then in your city, violating the laws of the city, now violating the laws of the
Laws of this
county, now violating the laws of the
of
region,
this. Yeah.
and so on. And
Yeah,
so
that
that's
makes
what's
sense,
been
right?
going on, and it's been exposed in exactly that way. Okay, so I just wanted to explain that. I think that's beautiful that that is happening
I
because this
do
is
too. I do
other
too.
BS. So you were talking about your other theory that you heard
Yeah,
about
it's
these
from
charges.
some I'm actually getting this from this got forwarded to me from some intelligence sources, but it's coming from a an outlet called Next News Network, which is it is a conservative network, but this is what they're saying here. Another perspective, intel from a verified high-level source with top secret special access clearance just dropped a bombshell. They're saying that these are our drones tracking
Sure,
gamma rays linked to
I've heard that.
possible weapons of mass destruction in a massive counter-terror operation. The Office of Global Access, which is OGA, has deployed advanced surveillance assets to hunt for a stray nuke or mass casualty weapon hidden on the east and west coasts. The mission objectives detect communication tied to the device. Two is partner with law enforcement for rapid response. Three, prevent mass panic while advancing intel operations. So these are low altitude surveillance aircraft scanning for signals, and and it goes on. But there's another way of
Mm-hmm.
looking at this, and it goes on to talk about how this is the deep state that's
Mm-hmm.
responsible for this in the first place to cause this panic. And of course, we've got this shadowy, oh, we don't know what's going on coming from our
Yeah.
government. So take that for what it's worth. I
Well,
have no idea if that's true or not,
to
but
back
it
that one up,
is very interesting. Go ahead, Barry.
I don't remember if it was a PDBD podcast or if it was Breaking Points, but somebody had a guest on who's privy to these high-ranking government officials who said, like, I don't, if it was the 80s or something, we lost 170 something nukes lost,
Mm,
like they were
mm.
stolen. And
Whoa,
we recovered, he said we recovered a bunch of them. I don't know what that
a
means.
bunch. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But a bunch are still missing, and that he was tying that into this in just the way that you were just talking about.
Yeah, so I mean that is a plausible theory, and I mean this person is saying that they've got sources in this government apparatus. So who
I'll
knows? I
say
mean
this,
seriously,
it solves the problem of, okay, so our military is not out there actively trying to capture them or shoot them down. There's that.
right. Well,
And they're trying to not create a panic, meaning, oh, we have nukes lost out there.
right, and so you've had this panic exodus from the east and the west
Yeah,
coast. You can't really have that. Here's another thing too that somebody brought up is that these UFOs, let's call them,
sure.
have regulation FAA lights on them.
Yeah, yeah, I heard that too.
So,
Yeah, there's that.
yeah, exactly. So let's just, not too many enemy aircraft would want to sync up with the regulations of
Right,
the FAA. So, and
sure.
for that matter, what can you imagine aliens from another planet saying, "Hey, we gotta make sure we line up with the FAA when we descend on this planet and eat all of these people."
Yeah.
So yeah, you got that going too.
Yeah, then I heard reports of somebody hearing rap music coming out of one of them as it went by. I'm just kidding. I just made that up.
That was good, actually. I like that. All right. I think it would be interesting to cover this Joe Biden thing. I thought that was interesting coming out of the Wall Street Journal with
Oh,
this
okay.
whole
Right at the
thing.
top, brand new. Yeah, let me find my article on that. So the White House. So there's a Wall Street Journal article that they finally admit that from day one, it seems that Joe Biden was known to have diminishing mental, acuity. So while I don't have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, I found this in the Daily Mail, who's doing an article on the Wall Street Journal's article. And their heading is White House Biden health cover up, blown wide open in bombshell report. Joe was senile from day one of his presidency. And there was a couple key things in here. White House tried to hide his diminishing mental condition, says the report. They hired a vocal coach, a Hollywood vocal coach from that, I remember. And scrap meetings on his, quote, bad days.
Yeah,
And
how
kept
about
him
that?
at arm's length from his own cabinet members. Look, this guy was never around, is not around now, nor is Kamala. So who has been running the country this whole time? As we know, the deep state, which is why we have went right down the tubes in 4 quick years. So the explosive investigation of the WSJ exposed an extensive, deliberate, years-long cover-up that also saw the administration gaslighting those who dared to claim Biden's abilities had deteriorated. And remember, old Joe Scarborough was leading that pack as recently as a few months ago.
Right. Oh, yeah, right. Joe
Right.
Biden is super sharp. And
And if
anybody
you,
that says, yeah,
there
what
you
did he
go,
say?
go F yourselves.
Who does who could have ever thought a day would come where the news guy says that to you? If you don't believe that, then go
Exactly.
F yourself. What did
Really? We
what
went to that.
I can't even believe we did.
You have
This
heard about MSNBC and CNN being packaged to get them out of their parent companies because they can't sell
Yes.
them because they're so worthless.
Yes, I have. Yes, I
Yeah.
have. And I mean the credibility that they seem to you and I talked about this for years. How can they afford to just throw away their credibility by doing this? And how are they able to do this? Well, the thing I find interesting about this article from the Wall Street Journal is the brazenness of the Wall Street Journal to say all these things, which are true, but how did you not say this 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Because you saw it, we all saw it, but they saw it, and now they're reporting it like this is bombshell reporting. It's
Yeah.
not bombshell
I
reporting.
know.
You and I could have reported this 5 years ago. We saw him when he started running for president. And the
But
article
it's
points this out.
verified. But it's verified
Well,
publicly.
okay. This is the funny part about it is that this is ridiculous. If you go back to that article, there were several video clips in the article, so everyone should look at this because there's a couple of funny ones in there, and I guess it's not really funny, but there's
Right.
one. There's one where he's in the Amazon. I never saw this
Oh
before.
God, you never saw that one. That was only
No,
a few
no,
months ago.
it was just if this were a comedy, this would be hilarious. I
All right,
mean,
I'm going to share
he
that.
gives a speech and then he wanders into the Amazon.
He does. And there, of course, there's all kinds of comments of how the search party's still
Where
looking
is he
for him.
going? Look at him.
I mean, him tripping over a sandbag, and right here falling up the stairs. I mean, that one's famous as can be.
I mean,
Oh, that was awful. I mean, I do feel bad for him, but with
I do
this,
too.
the
But look at
criticism,
Jill.
that's my point. The criticism of old, in quotes, Dr. Jill has really ramped up. And I mean, I've been critical of her for 4 years now. And in the fact that she wanted very much to run him out there again so she could be princess for another day
Well,
is
basically, she
disgusting.
was the president, it seems like, for the last 4 years. I was reading in this article where during the 2020 campaign that if you look at the stats, she actually did more campaign speeches and traveling than her husband did.
Oh,
And
yeah, much more. Yes.
and
It
they
says
had to
that
like
in this
try to
article. Yeah.
tamp down on that because she was making him look bad. She was campaigning so hard. So really, this was more about Jill Biden's campaign than
Yes.
Joe Biden's campaign.
Dude,
And
well put.
the thing that really comes out for me isn't so much that this had happened because we all knew that it was happening. It's really how bad the press is in the bag of this movement that's happening, and thus
Very
going back to
important.
the last subject that we covered about these drones. Now you have this situation where you have to wonder, are these very people that tried to hide this from us the purveyors of terror and fear through these drones? And I have to say, they look very guilty to me. I
Well,
don't know what's going on, but it sure does smell funny.
two very important points that you just said. I'll reiterate exposure that the continued exposure that this gives to mainstream media in the cover up it's damning, and it should be a final nail in the coffin. But here's another one, Merle. Wait till you hear this. This was a leading comment at the bottom of this article. An elderly person with dementia is not allowed to sign contracts/legal documents. Nothing they sign would be enforceable. Therefore, shouldn't every executive order, every pardon, every commuted sentence that he grants be tossed out?
Wow. I mean, that is really a nuke right there because
Uh-huh.
you read in the article about how Joe Biden's responsibilities had been delegated to unknown aides. And so, as we all knew all along or suspected, somebody else is really running the country. And then anything that he actually did, is it legitimate? I mean, I go back to some of these speeches. There was another one, that the clip that was in the article of the debate, and Joe Biden telling, "Would you shut up, man?" And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
now knowing what we know, this is what somebody that's senile would say on their
Uh-huh.
porch to the
Yeah.
the guy that's trying to deliver a package to him, and he's like, "No, this is your address." And, "Oh, would you shut up, man?"
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
his address. I mean, it's a sad thing that we've seen. It how they used a senile old man to try to attain their disgusting agenda. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's elderly abuse, is what we just saw for the
It is
last
for
several
sure.
years.
It is for sure. And I mean, I'm going to say I've probably alluded to it before, but for sure, a lot of heavy prosecutions have to happen. And this should have started with Hillary Clinton, the bleach servers, the dossier, Bill Clinton on the tarmac with election interference.
Yes.
This needs to continue with all of the interference with the social media companies, the covering up of the Hunter laptop scandal, all of the people that are doing treasonous acts of the last 4 years in our government. I think if Hillary would have been prosecuted back then and the rest of her life in prison, rightfully so, for treasonous acts, most of this would not have transpired and continued today. And so we can't have anything like this ever happen in this country again. That
You
is
know
the
what?
reason we prosecute people.
You're bringing up
We
such a
can't
great
let it
point.
go.
It was really that event on the tarmac between Bill Clinton and the attorney general
Uh-huh.
that convinced me that we now have a fully corrupt government. I,
Uh-huh.
I don't think I actually realized that until I saw what happened right there. That here Bill Clinton meets her on the tarmac, and it was they tried to keep it all secret, and then it came out that this was going on, and then all of a sudden Hillary gets all of these favors done to
Uh-huh.
let her off the hook.
Uh-huh.
And so we've really and we had been taken over long before that. It's just I didn't know it until
Same.
these things started to just blatantly happen. They certainly weren't expecting Trump to win that election during the
Right.
2016 election.
Right.
And so now we've got all of these repercussions, and we've got a new January 6th coming up as well. And we already know that there are shenanigans that have been talked about, especially the one coming from Raskin, where he claims that he talks about the rampaging angry MAGA people that are going to descend on Washington, and they'll all need bodyguards because they're going to be mad when they find out Trump is disqualified from being the president because of the 14th Amendment. So we're going to see how that all pulls out. But speaking of, I do have something over here, Barry, real quick. I don't know if you saw this in the news, but it's the I told you so kind of thing. There's a theme going on here. But in Aurora, Colorado, did you see the news where Aurora officials are livid after suspected migrant gang members detained in a home invasion? It turns out that looks like these 19 suspected members of the Venezuelan Tren de Agua gang were detained this week following a violent home invasion that left two Aurora residents hospitalized. And it looks like they kidnapped and they tortured several people in this apartment building, and it's the same apartment building that they had that gang in this past summer, where the mayor actually said, "Oh no, this is not what it looks like here. These people are
Right.
making." The whole gaslighting thing happened right there, and now they've created this very dangerous situation for the residents of Aurora, Colorado. And this is going on all over the country, Barry.
Mm-hmm. I saw that and I just didn't hear details on it, so I can't really speak to it, but I'm glad you brought that up. I got focused on an article that you touched on for a second, then you went, but I wanted to talk more about it, and that is the January 6th, the claims of the FBI involvement.
Yes,
Now
yes.
that's being spun differently. Um, what do you think? How do you think the media is handling that?
Well,
I can tell you.
as I said, I have not been that plugged into the
Okay.
media this past 2 weeks here because of the all of the festivities going on over here. But
Okay.
we've heard for the last several years that the FBI was embedded in the whole January 6th thing, and we've even seen pictures of FBI agents that were
Okay,
in
watch how
there.
you say that. That's definitely not FBI agents. That is fake news, as is said all the way down this Google search. ABC, the AP, NBC, the Washington Post, you name it. They will talk about January 6th report leads to false claims of an FBI setup. And it's because of the way you just portrayed that, Merle. There was not a single FBI agent involved. Not
Hmm.
one. But there were 26 FBI informants. Now, this
Oh,
is where the game is played.
informants.
This
Yes.
is where the game is played. So, what is an FBI informant? Let's put it in terms everybody who's watched Dateline or Law and Order or whoever can understand. You bust somebody that and catch them with enough drugs, some serious drugs that would put them in jail for 20 years, and
Yeah.
then you say you're James Mahoney, Detective James Mahoney, and you have the right to say to this guy, listen, we're going to wire you up. And you go back into your cartel and get the goods on the big guys, and we'll give you a break. All right.
Right,
And he goes,
right.
wait a minute, my life's at risk. Well, would you rather go to prison for 20 years? Think your life's going to be at
Yeah.
risk there. So he does. Or you could say to the same guy, or would you rather take a little holiday to Washington on January 6th and help stoke some action at the Capitol? And guess which one he's going to pick?
Right. Right.
An
No one wants
FBI
to go to prison.
informant is almost a slave. You have their back up against the wall and can make them do illegal activities. This is the point, plain and simple. 26 of these are disclosed to have participated in the January 6th insurrection. However, mainstream media is taking the opportunity to capitalize. So if you don't say this right and you don't know what you're talking about, we started this off with a bit of misinformation. I clarified it. So that's what they're playing upon. They're saying it leads to false claims that the FBI was a
No,
setup.
I
There
see
were no
exactly what's
agents
going on.
involved. That's what
Yeah,
they're saying.
yeah, I
Not a
see it.
single agent involved,
Yeah.
just informants. They're not employed by the FBI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I see the
All
trick
the way
that's
down here.
happening here. It's the same Twitter thing that happened
Uh-huh.
where it was like they're using a proxy.
Look
That's
what
all
they're
they're
doing
doing.
here.
Yeah.
A quarter of Americans, foolish Americans, believe the FBI instigated January 6th. Well, they did.
Well,
They
they
did.
did, right, exactly. And they do this all the time. What a dirty trick that
That is
is
a
right there.
dirty. It's almost smart, but
And
it's not
how
that
is it
smart.
not entrapment, right? I mean, this is
Really?
the exact same thing they were doing with Twitter, where they used Twitter as a proxy. We're not censoring anything. It's a private company that's doing it. They have the legal right to do that. And so they're doing the same kind of thing here. But, they're putting their thumb on the scales of justice by doing this, and they're trying to put people away for their political agenda. That's all that's happening here. You see, Christopher Wray of the FBI just resigned 2 weeks ago,
I didn't.
ahead of the new president coming in. That's very, very unprecedented that happened. That really points to the fact that there's extreme corruption that's happening in the FBI. And we saw it over the last few years where the FBI was targeting the Catholic Church. They were targeting
Yep.
parents
Yep.
that were concerned about this whole transgender thing and the whole
Gretchen Whitmer.
critical,
That's been
critical.
disclosed.
What is it? Critical race theory. That whole thing. They went after those people. Yeah, the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping
That's
thing, where they
disclosed.
they
Same
they
thing.
entrapped those people as well.
Same thing as
They
January
used
6th.
informants. Yeah,
Yep.
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 That they
Yep.
sure did do that. And the whole thing. Wow. They
But they
just
do it all the time in the guise of they set something up and then bust it and say, look what we just did.
Right, right. In fact, I heard so many stories over the years of these terrorists that they
Uh-huh.
supposedly
Yep.
stopped, but
Yep.
they actually didn't. What they did was they incited these people to try to do something, and then when they busted them, they said, "Yeah, we stopped a terrorist."
Uh-huh.
But they
Right.
created the terrorist in the
Now,
first
see,
place.
this is like the really hard, slippery slope that, say, Elon. Oh boy, I got a Elon versus Trump thing I got to talk about. Very important. But Elon Musk and Vivek have to go up against when they're doing the Doge thing, the Department of Government Efficiency, and they're trying to cut down on all the uh, excess, the BS, and the
Right.
corruption.
Yeah.
See, there's the hard thing, man. We need people right here in Cleveland, Ohio, that have local intelligence and that are busting up crime. Uh,
That's
uh,
right.
yeah, at a low level here.
Local, at a
Yeah,
local level,
we
right?
need it at state level. We certainly need it at the international level. Gathering information on terrorism and thwarting it. And
This is an interesting subject right
it's
here,
a tricky
Barry.
one.
It is, because what we have here is, our founding fathers. I love this kind of stuff. Our founding fathers really fought the Revolutionary War because they didn't want to have a state inside of a state. And what you had was these colonies or state, but then you also had the King of England sending his troops in, enforcing a whole different law, a state inside of a state. Very confusing. It causes really public unrest and lack of peace and violence. And so, under our Constitution, our state government has jurisdiction over the entire state. The federal government has jurisdiction over its borders. That's it. So now you've got the federal government coming in and enforcing federal laws inside of a state
That's got to stop.
that could be contradictory to the state itself. This is not part of our Constitution, and you can see where our federal government has used that authority to the point of extreme corruption. And
Sure.
you're right, that
A
does
real
have to stop.
a real simple example is making marijuana illegal. Then a state like California is the first one to make it legal. Then I heard about the conflict of the feds wanting to prosecute somebody in California for marijuana under federal law, but then you had the state where it conflicts with the state law. It seems to me you're more of an expert, so I ask you, but it seems to me we need to retract the government back to what it was supposed to be, which is a framework that binds these 50 independent states together. But that's all.
This is exactly right. And it is the 14th Amendment that actually changed all of that, where it starts out talking about being a United States citizen. And the big misnomer is there's no such thing as a United States citizen. You're a citizen of one state, not all of the states. When you live in a state, you're under the jurisdiction of that state alone, not every state. And so just to your point, like some states have, like the marijuana laws are different in other states, so that the state you're in is where that law applies to you, and so you're a citizen of that state. But when the 14th Amendment came out, under that verbiage, the federal government has now, and it even says that they can make laws to enforce the 14th Amendment within those states. Now they have jurisdiction in the state and they can fudge that line. For example, gay marriage in the state of California, we voted against gay marriage, and then the court system came in, and then the federal government took that whole thing over and made it legal nationwide through the Supreme Court. Yet the people in their will in California voted against that. In the state, the federal government came in and usurped the will of the people. That is not how our Constitution is supposed to work. And that example, we can apply that example to thousands of other things that have caused a weakening here of our 50 states. And that's why you have Gretchen Whitmer out there today advocating for the demise of the Electoral College, because what they want is they want a democracy. And a democracy is not what we live in. We live in a constitutional republic where the individual has sovereignty. But under a democracy, they keep saying this is a danger to our democracy. Under a democracy, it's the tyranny of the majority. If the majority wants to take your property, then you have no right to your property anymore. Under a constitutional republic, your property is safe against the majority. And that's the difference. We do not want to live in a democracy like Europe. That's what you're looking at. And that's why I would never want to live there, or Canada. I never want to live in these places, because they can steal your freedom through the tyranny of the majority. And this is what we have to protect ourselves from. And this is why everybody needs to understand what's in that Constitution and how it is a fruit of the Declaration of Independence. And if you don't understand that, it's going to be pretty easy to take your rights away.
Boy, that you're just leading me right into. I was pulling up the story about Stephanopoulos and whatever that net was, a CNN lose a $15 million. Yeah, it is ABC. We'll get back to that one. That one's so good. But with what you just said, you just led me to the other story, huge story about the feds. It's come out. They blew $267 million fighting, in quotes, misinformation under Biden. What is misinformation a code word for? Censorship.
The truth. Yeah, exactly.
It's censorship. So over a quarter trillion dollars of our taxpayer money take. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. To take our rights away.
Yes,
Oh my God, is that egregious? This is back to, I'm going to go on another rant about people that need to be imprisoned. Anybody involved with this. It's
I agree.
unconstitutional as all get out.
It is. And when you think about it, Barry, this is the whole freedom of the press and freedom of speech has everything to do with our ability to think for ourselves, to be able to use our critical thinking skills, as you and I have acknowledged, has been something that has been uh, not encouraged anymore. People are not encouraged
Right.
to think for themselves, because if they think for themselves, then they would want to, they'd know
You hit
and
it.
want freedom, and
You
they'd
hit
want
it.
to run their own lives. So we can't have that. And this is why the First Amendment is the First Amendment, because all of our other freedoms depend on this one. And that's why the attack is so
Exactly.
hard on this one. I mean, the freedom to carry weapons and own weapons is the Second Amendment, but way more important than
Yep.
that is the
Yep.
First Amendment.
Yep.
Because if you don't have the First Amendment, the Second Amendment doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And so this is where the fight is right now,
Hmm.
and we have got to take this very seriously. And I'm concerned about the education that young people are getting today, because they're not learning about this, and they're being programmed as drones out there.
You're right.
This is
You
this
hit
is
on every
this is why
important
we have to keep doing what we're doing right here, and keep practicing
point.
our message as well, because it is practice. It's like we're being a doctor. They practice medicine.
Mhm.
It's never perfected, but it gets better and better all the time the more you practice it. And so
Right.
this is what we have to practice. We have to practice our knowledge, displaying our knowledge of these constitutional concepts, and we
Hmm.
got to really dig into it and understand the original intent, because
There you
what
go, man.
people are trying to say is that this is a living document. That's what Gretchen Whitmer said. It's a living document, and therefore the regulations and rules, complicated rules around the electoral college, have got to go. But she didn't actually give the real reason. She just
Mm.
said it was too confusing. But the real reason has everything to do with our individual rights, and how our individual rights are more important than the majority opinion. And
Absolutely.
this is what the detractors of real freedom and real liberty, the enemies of real freedom and real liberty, are always going to attack these kinds of concepts
Yeah.
that have everything to do with our individual sovereignty. Remember, the Declaration of Independence says that we're made in the image of God. And if we're in the image of God, then
Hmm.
we're sovereign,
Uh-huh.
like a king is sovereign. And that, don't forget that, because we are being treated like punks by these people.
Babies.
And
We're
also remember, they work for us. I mean, God,
all of that's
look
lost.
what we just saw in that article. They work for us, and they're going to spend $250 million censoring information.
You're right.
They work for us. If you had an employee that did that to you, you'd fire them yesterday.
To
We
say
should
the
fire
least,
these people. We should fire these
we
people.
should imprison these people.
That's right.
It's
That is right.
unconstitutional. And
It
you
is,
hit
and
on
treasonous on many levels. And
absolutely.
the maximum penalty for treason is the death penalty. That's how serious this is.
Absolutely. You hit on all the major points. I just want to make some things crystal clear, illustrate a couple things. First of all, you're right. Without the maleducation of our kids today over the last 30, 40, 50 years, this would not be able to take place, because censorship, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is such an impossible thing to imagine to make happen. It's so much more probable that speech, and it always has been, except for in the USA in present day times, it's always been controlled. It is so easy to believe what misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech, that these are real things that need to be censored in our dialogue. It's very easy to believe that if you don't understand how important the First Amendment is and our freedom of speech. a good, okay, here's a historical example and here's a present day example. Historically, women's rights, rights for black people, and gay rights, any other minorities that were truly oppressed in the past, they would not have been granted and given their rights if they weren't able to argue them with the ability to have freedom of speech.
Great point. That is absolutely.
Present day, you could have a nationwide panic in a pandemic, which may or may not have leaked from a lab in, say, a country like China. And here we are today covering that up in real time, our government covering that up.
Or covering up that the president is senile for 4 years.
Like covering up a Hunter Biden laptop.
And if anybody says anything against that, they're ruined. Like
beating.
Absolutely. It is a digital death, if not an actual death. They are done. We're never going to hear from them again.
Potentially harmful medications on our population and our children. They tried, the final straw is they tried to mandate these potentially dangerous, more than potentially, these dangerous medications on our children.
And we have to take a look at the vaccination schedule that's happening right now. These kids are getting lit up like a pincushion once they're born. And if they're lying about what we found out about COVID, most likely they're lying about all those other things as well. It's just like, your parents, when my parents found out I lied to them, they said, it's going to take a long time for me to trust you again, Merle.
Yes.
And that's really, I don't know if I'm ever going to trust these people ever, because they've lied so many times.
We should never trust them. We should always question everything. But that's how important our First Amendment is. And we should never forget it. And the fact that they used $250 million against taking our rights away.
Yeah.
Cannot go unpunished.
No, $250 million of our own dollars. That's the sick part.
Dude, I'm not getting into this because I don't have the facts in front of me. I forgot when I was listening to this, but we have been giving something like this is on Sean Riley. Is it Ryan? Sean Ryan's podcast, who he's an ex-Green Beret. He's always got these high-ranking military people with all this intelligence. We've been giving the Taliban like $35 million a week.
Yes,
they are going to use to terrorize us. And there's that.
Even use it to oppress their own. Well, the things they're doing to women there is unconscionable. I mean, this
yes,
is,
of course.
We are doing this and we're paying criminals. We're still doing it. They blew up our soldiers. We're paying them. What? Why are we doing that?
Okay, but we've only got a few minutes to go.
We are starting to run out of time.
I got to tell you about President Musk versus Vice President Trump thing that's going on.
What?
Have you not heard about this?
I have not. No.
You will. You will. You'll hear a lot about it. The PBD podcast.
I love that guy.
He broke this about 2 months ago. He said that the media would start doing this. This is very important. And he's right. They played 3 clips where very nonchalantly these mainstream media people, I don't remember who they were, but it was like 2 days ago or a day ago. You could listen to the podcast. They played 3 clips of some mainstream media actors, newscasters, however you want to say it, talking about nonchalantly saying, well, President Musk was stated saying this, that, and the other, and Vice President Trump wasn't liking it whatsoever, something to that effect. And what they're trying to do, PBD called it 2 months ago. They want to pit those two against each other. And they'll do it with RFK Jr. They'll do it with Tulsi. They're going to do it. It's going to be warfare. And this is our media. Once again, our propaganda channel.
It is propaganda. So they are doing
this.
See, this is how Trump went down in the Kamala debate.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
the debate.
They went after his ego,
and
they played him like a fiddle.
Like a fiddle. It worked. So I'm worried about this.
Yeah, that's something right there. Because I mean, ego is thing that is his vulnerability, and really so many people in Washington. But I gotta say, I have been impressed at how Trump has learned a lot of lessons. So
It
we'll see
seems.
what happens on this. I know, boy, we sure are in an interesting time,
Aren't we? Here's
boy.
one positive on that. Boy, Elon is impressive with how in minutes he could throw out a tweet that turns
Yes,
that on its head.
I love that about him. What
He's
a smart
something.
guy. I got to say, when you take a look at this department that he and Vivek are in, one of the questions that I have is how they're going to get Congress to go along with the plans, because Congress is in charge of the purse. And so it's going to be very interesting
You're
to see
right.
how they use their position to actually influence the spending, because the president is not in charge of
I got a
the
good idea.
purse. Yeah,
Right.
let's hear it.
Elon's going to use Twitter, X.
You
He's going to
know,
get a lot of support behind what he wants to push through. That's what's going to
that
happen. This is good.
tremendously powerful, and
Uh-huh.
but in the wrong hands, it's terrifying.
I know. You are right. You are
You know,
right.
like, but we'll save that for another day. But what if an evil force, were to be able to now take Twitter or X away from Elon and then use this powerful weapon against us? I mean, it's only gotten more powerful since it was in the hands of our enemies that
Yeah.
hate America. And so, it is interesting to imagine. It's
Right.
interesting.
No, it is. I guess with that, we should start wrapping up.
Yeah.
Oh God, we didn't really talk about Trump being called Trudeau being called to resign in Canada. There's a lot of good stuff there. I wanted to end with the AI granny who talks to scammers to waste their time. So these people that call, these elderly people,
Yeah, they're terrible.
which are horrible. They're horrible. So there's an
Those
AI.
people are going to hell.
It's real new. It's a really good story, maybe for another time. That literally drives them crazy. It sucks them down rabbit holes and starts to seem like it's giving them some information. And it's kind of funny. And I think it's long overdue. With that,
I'd like to see a granny bot. That would be great. Like, let's use the bots against those people.
That's actually what it is. That is actually what it is. So that's funny. Awesome. I hope that you and I can do a podcast before the new year. I guess it would fall like that.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do. Scott is coming into town on over the holiday, and so we'll have to talk about that and see if we can do that.
All right. Sounds good. All right. With that, everybody, I hope that you get into that Christmas spirit, a little bit more loving, a little bit more patient. And as we go into the new year, I think that's the most wonderful thing about Christmas, Merle, is regardless of your religious affiliations or whatever, Christmas at least represents a time when we're a little more loving. It's a great way to end a year and bring a new year in. Thank God for Christmas.
I mean, when you really think about Christmas, the whole thing is about agape love, the self-sacrificing kind of love, the very best thing, the thing that makes you get all choked up when you see those rom-coms or you see these Christmas, like a Christmas story. What is it? It's a Wonderful Life. That's all about that kind of love.
It is.
And
selfless.
So pass it on to everybody you know.
Yeah. And with that, okay, we got to go. Hopefully see you next week. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you.
Hey there, over 50, starting over friends. Mark Tennant back with you with your AI tip of the week. This week's topic, AI as your personal financial coach after the age of 50. Well, it's really great to have a personal coach for practically anything these days. So why not use ChatGPT and AI to be your personal financial coach? You know, it's perfect for us now at our age to better start understanding those finances. And, you know, I've been able to learn so much from the AI and in a short period of time, all about finances. And it's really, really helped me sharpen my goals, actually, and just really get better at understanding what in the heck I'm going to do at retirement. So Why AI as a financial coach? Well, it is available 24/7. It's patient, it's judgment-free, and it helps you learn at your own pace, and it takes those complex topics and really simplifies them for you. So let's go ahead and open up ChatGPT and let's type in the prompt. I'm over 50 and want to better understand my finances. Can you be my coach and help me figure out where to start? And of course, ChatGPT is more than happy to help. And it listed several areas and suggestions on where to begin. And again, based on your needs, you can tailor those as your conversation moves on with ChatGPT. And this is where actually the conversation can turn interesting because it can help you set your financial goals. It can help you plan to reach those goals, and you can even have it review your current retirement plan, and it can help you understand Social Security. You can also use ChatGPT to prepare questions for your financial advisor because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know to ask, and ChatGPT can help you with that. So let's get some examples. So maybe if I take a Social Security before full retirement age, how does that affect my current employment status? Or another what if I invest in post-tax investments, what are the pros and cons? Or maybe if I decide to take another retirement account and open it, what are the best options available for me right now at my age? So continue to use ChatGPT to help you gain your financial knowledge and confidence because it's simple practice. You'll just get better anyway. It won't happen overnight, but if you spend a few hours a week, you'll get better and better at it. And of course, talking with the AI. And we always say, have that conversation. Just talk to the AI. Then start going deeper and start asking about topics like, I'd like to understand more about whatever it was. Maybe it's just some results it just gave you, or, can you explain something in simpler terms? And, maybe what's the first thing I should know about X? So remember, there are some things you have to remember. AI is a learning tool. It's not a real person. It's not a real financial advisor. It's just really smart. And of course, verify all the information you get with your financial advisor. Use AI to become your personal coach so you become knowledgeable. And again, take your time because it is a journey. Pro tip. If you give ChatGPT a role at the beginning of the prompt to tell it to act as a financial planning expert or act as your personal financial coach, you'll probably get some better results. AI just isn't about answers. It's like having a personal coach available 24/7 that can help you build your financial confidence at your own pace and in your own way. And if you want to get a hold of me, mark@marktennant.net is my email address. marktennant.net is the website. And of course, please hook up with me on the socials. LinkedIn in particular, I am Mark E. Tennant. Until next time, keep prompting, keep learning AI, use it as your financial coach, keep having those conversations, and keep using AI. Take care.